You're fully alive, so why does your hair look tired in daylight and on camera? If your part seems wider, your ends feel heavy around the jaw, and your crown falls flat by noon, the problem isn't you. It's a silhouette that no longer serves the woman you've become. This is not a quest to look 30. It's a plan to look clear, lifted, and intentional right now. Welcome to Golden After 60, where I approach hair the way a great tailor approaches a jacket. Shape first, then fabric, then finish. My cut care color method is built for mature hair, finer fibers, shifting density, and more silver, so your cut works with your reality instead of fighting it. Today, I'll show you 6 strategic, ageless haircuts that brighten the eyes, soften the jaw, and put movement exactly where the camera wants it. You'll also get 3 no scissors try-ons you can do in minutes, precise salon scripts so you never freeze in the chair, and a weekly maintenance map that keeps polish without demanding your morning. If any of this sounds uncomfortably familiar, stay with me. By the end, you'll know which silhouette fits your face, your texture, and your lifestyle, and exactly how to ask for it. And if you pick up a single aha, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next step in your refresh. Let's get you the lift, light, and ease you've earned. Here's the core framework I use with every client over 60, cut, care, and color, because the right silhouette only works when the hair itself cooperates and the light lands where you want it. Cut is architecture. You're redistributing weight so the eye travels up to your features, not down to your ends. On most mature faces, a subtle crown boost, think 5 to 8 millimeters, changes everything. I see it on myself at 63. An off-center part and soft internal layers keep my jaw from dragging the whole look south, and the light around my eyes reads brighter all day. Care is fiber health so the cut behaves. Older scalps often produce less oil, so washing 2 to 3 times a week is plenty for most of us. In between, rinse or co-cleanse instead of shampooing again. Always protect before heat and keep tools in the 300–320 degrees F range with minimal passes. For expectations, remember 2 useful benchmarks. Shedding around 5,100 hairs a day is typical, and hair grows about ½ inch a month. Those 2 numbers help you plan trims and grow outs without panic. Color is light management. A clear or silver gloss adds slip and sheen without commitment. Micro lowlights at the crown create depth, so hair doesn't look see-through under overhead lighting, while soft, face-brightening highlights pull attention toward your eyes. If you're silver or salt and pepper, a cool glaze keeps brass at bay and makes gray reflect like satin instead of steel. Many women notice some thinning after menopause, so using color to sculpt light, rather than to fight your natural tone, usually looks more refined and more expensive. Test all of this tonight without scissors. For a bob, do tuck and mist, roll your ends to jaw level, mist with water, step back, and ask yourself if your eyes pop and your jaw looks cleaner. For Pixie or Shag energy, do crown clip, snug the sides and back with a clip, fluff the crown, and see if your face reads taller and more alert. For shoulder length or curtain fringe, do curtain arc. Bend the 2 front pieces toward your cheekbones and pin. Does the eye area brighten and the forehead soften? Tell me in the comments which try-on changed your face the most, whether you shed closer to 50 or 100 hairs daily, and if you could drop to 2 washes a week for the next 2 weeks to see how your scalp behaves. With your CCC dials set and your test photos taken in the same window light, we're ready to move into the 6 secrets and match a cut to the energy you want next. With the Cut Care color plan and 3 scissor-free hair trials, let's dive into the 6 secrets and start with the classic, easiest, and most face-lifting hairstyle. Secret number 1. Soft layered bob, quiet lift at jaw/eyes. The soft layered bob works because it removes weight where mature hair tends to pool, the lower third, while preserving quiet fullness at the crown. Those internal layers aren't for show, they are engineering. By debulking beneath the surface, you create a gentle updraft that pulls the eye to the cheekbones and eyes instead of the jawline. On finer, 60-plus hair that collapses easily, that small redistribution of weight often yields an extra 3 to 5 millimeters of crown height with nothing more than a couple passes of a round brush, which is enough to change how your face reads on camera and in daylight. Personalization matters. Keep the perimeter between chin and collarbone, shorter if you want a longer-looking neck, longer if you prefer a softer outline. Ask specifically for internal debulking so the edge stays clean rather than visibly layered. Part slightly off-center, about 1 to 2 centimeters, to create instant lift on most face shapes. If your temples are delicate, request micro-feathering in that zone so the transition remains soft and flattering. Test it tonight. Stand in true, even light. Roll your ends under at jaw level, mist with water, and hold 20 to 30 seconds. Step back 2 paces and look at the eyes and lower face. Do your eyes look brighter? Does the jaw feel lighter? If the answer is yes, you are a strong candidate for a bob. Try shifting your part 1 to 2 centimeters off center and see if you gain additional lift. Then tell me in the comments which combo worked best for you, chin or collarbone and center or off-center part. Take this exact sentence to the salon. Soft layered bob with internal layers, keep crown fullness, lighten the bottom third, no visible choppy steps. Part slightly off-center. After your cut, styling should take 2 to 3 minutes. Towel blot, work 1 to 2 pumps of root-lifting foam at the crown and a pea of lightweight cream through mid-lengths, rough dry to 70%, then lift sections at the crown with a 35 to 45 millimeter round brush for 3 passes. Finish with a brushable hairspray 12 inches away. Keep heat tools at 300–320 degrees F. Mature strands don't need more. From my own chair and my own mirror, I can tell you the difference is real. At 64, I clung to a 1-length, shoulder-skimming cut because it felt safe. On Zoom, my lower face looked heavy and I kept tucking hair behind my ears. I finally asked for a soft layered bob that grazed mid-jaw with internal debulking. Within a week, 3 women at Pilates asked if I'd changed foundation. I hadn't. The lift simply shifted where the light hit my face. Linda, 67, had the same experience. We moved her from a dense shoulder length to a mid-jaw bob, and she described herself as lighter and more in motion. Plan on trims every 6 to 8 weeks to keep the perimeter crisp so the layers keep working. If you're silver or salt and pepper, a clear gloss every 6 to 8 weeks adds slip and turns scattered grays into a soft sheen. Most clients see blow-dry time drop by 20 to 30% because they're no longer fighting bottom bulk. If you love the polish of a bob but want even less weight and more crown energy, you'll be ready for secret number 2, the textured Pixie, an airy, feminine lift you can finish in 90 seconds. Secret number 2, textured Pixie, liberation plus crown energy. A textured Pixie works because it changes physics in your favor. Shortening the length reduces downward weight on each strand, so the roots don't have to fight gravity to stand up. When lift concentrates at the crown and the front, the eye naturally tracks to your best architecture, eyes, cheekbones, the clean line of your neck, rather than pooling at the jaw. That matters after 60, when hair fibers tend to get finer and growth slows. The goal isn't to force volume, but to design a silhouette that cooperates with how hair behaves now. Reviews of aging hair consistently report diameter reduction and slower regrowth in older groups, which is exactly why a crown-forward shape reads fresher with less effort. Let me speak as a woman in her 60s who lived in safe, shoulder length for years. I assumed short hair would harden my face. The day I went Pixie, with a softly tapered nape, longer top I could sweep, and micro texture cut into the crown, my posture looked taller in photos even though I hadn't changed a thing. Friends didn't say, "Cute haircut." They said, "You look awake." That's the quiet power of this silhouette. It subtracts drag, not femininity. Personalization is everything. Keep the sides tapered so they glide, never buzzed flat. Leave the top and front long enough to sweep to either side. That softness is what makes a pixie feel elegant instead of severe. Ask your stylist to build texture with point cutting inside the crown so movement looks airy, not choppy. At home, test it before scissors. Clip the sides and back close, fluff the crown forward with your fingers, and step into natural light. Do your eyes become the focal point? Does your neck look longer? If you like what you see in a window, not just a bathroom mirror, you're pixie ready. Bring exact language to the chair. Tapered nape and sides, longer top to sweep internal texture at the crown, avoid heavy chunking. That sentence prevents a dated, overlayered crop and keeps the shape modern. Daily styling should take 90 seconds. Dust dry shampoo into the crown for lift, then emulsify a fingertip of pomade and tap it across the top to define the micro peaks. Done. Data check. Because I know many of you want receipts before making the cut. Hereditary hair loss affects an estimated 30 million U.S. women, according to the American Academy of Dermatology, and female hair aging commonly includes thinner fibers and slower growth. Precisely the conditions a crown-centric pixie helps camouflage. If you're noticing widening parts, crown flattening, or increased scalp show-through in bright light, have you considered whether a longer top with a softly tapered side might put the spotlight back on your eyes? When you try the crown clip test, what pops first? Cheekbones or neckline? Tell me below so I can tailor the salon script for your face shape and hair density. Client story to leave you inspired. Marisol, 64, used to hide behind a heavy lob on salsa nights. We moved her to a textured pixie with a whisper fringe. Styling dropped to 90 seconds, and her eyes became the star on the dance floor. If you crave that same lift but prefer a touch more length around the face, keep going. Next up is a shoulder-length cut with face framing layers that delivers eye-up energy without going short. Secret number 3. Shoulder length with face framing layers, balanced grace. I'm 66, and this is the cut that finally let me keep my long hair identity without the drag that pulled my features south. The sweet spot is shoulder skimming, anywhere from the clavicle to just past the shoulders, so hair reads feminine and fluid but no longer crowds the collar. Then ask your stylist to melt in face framing that begins at the hollow under the cheekbone. Those soft pieces pull light toward the mid-face, sharpen the jaw's read, and make the eyes the focal point. A pencil-thin crown lift, about 5-8 millimeters, is the difference between flat on top, balloon at the ends, and a silhouette that looks buoyant with zero teasing. Why this specific architecture works after 60? With age, density concentrates lower while the shaft itself trends finer, so ends accumulate weight exactly where you don't want it. Shifting volume upward with internal debulking and directing light with framing restores balance without sacrificing length. In women, average hair shaft diameter peaks in our 20s, 30s, and progressively declines from our 40s onward. The hair you wore to your college reunion does not behave the same at shoulder length today, and that's normal. Population data also explain why architecture beats more hair. Roughly 40% of women show signs of pattern hair loss by 50, and fewer than 45% maintain a full head of hair by 80. Test it tonight with the curtain arc. Create a middle or soft off-center part. Bend the 2 front pieces toward your cheekbones and pin. Step back under bright bathroom light and check 2 things. Do your eyes look brighter? And does your jawline read cleaner? If yes, you're a match for blended framing, not blunt fronts. On me, that tiny arc erased the tired, mouth-heavy look I kept seeing on Zoom and brought attention to my eyes even in natural daylight. Bring this one-line salon script so nothing gets lost. Shoulder length with blended face framing starting at my cheekbone hollow. Tiny crown lift, no steppy layers. Blended is non-negotiable. The framing should dissolve into the sides, not read as cut-out pieces. Ask the stylist to remove weight internally so movement stays airlight while the perimeter looks polished. Style it in minutes. For a modern blowout, lift only the crown with a medium round brush, then switch to a paddle to smooth the last 3 to 4 inches so ends swing instead of fuzz. If you prefer texture, wrap only the mid-lengths on a 1-inch iron and leave ends straight. Brush through for that effortless, intentional finish. Keep heat conservative and frequency modest. Flat irons on dry hair, low to medium settings, and not every day. The American Academy of Dermatology's stance is simple. Use the lowest effective setting, protect with a heat spray, and limit heat passes to curb breakage and dullness. Elaine, 70, is my proof point. She equated long with feminine and clung to a 1-length past-shoulder cut that swallowed her neck. We reset to shoulder length, blended the framing at her cheekbones, and added that pencil-thin crown lift. Her words at our follow-up: "It still feels like long hair, just smarter." If you're nodding along, lock this shape, take your test photos, and get ready. The next step is deciding whether you prefer this soft movement or the crisper geometry of a modern blunt bob. Secret number 4. Modern blunt bob, structure equals elegance. Modern blunt bob, structure equals elegance, works because clear geometry sharpens what time softens. When the perimeter is crisp, it creates a clean horizontal baseline that makes cheekbones read higher and the jaw look tidier, like slipping on a perfectly tailored blazer and watching your posture improve. Past 60, many of us notice less spring at the crown or a slightly wider part. The precision of a blunt edge lets the cut carry the look, so you're not begging roots to perform. My practical sweet spot is keeping the ends about 1 to 2 inches below the jaw, roughly 5 to 5 centimeters. Any longer and weight begins to pool at the collarbone. Any shorter and the line shifts from polished to editorial. That controllable, repeatable geometry is why this cut photographs beautifully in daylight and on camera. Tuning the details is where the bob becomes yours. Length is your first dial. Lip to chin reads sharp and modern. Jaw to collarbone reads softer and classic. Keep the perimeter crisp, but ask your stylist to micro-feather the very front so it never turns helmet. Choose a deep side part for instant lift and a little drama, or a center part if you love calm symmetry. I also recommend the tiniest under bevel, just enough for the ends to hug the neckline and avoid the outward flip blunt bobs can get when they sit on the shoulder. If you want to test drive the shape tonight, try tuck and mist. Stand at the mirror, roll your ends under to a slightly shorter mock length in the jaw-collarbone zone, mist with water, and step back. If your eyes become the focal point and your jaw looks cleaner, you're in range. Arrive at the salon with a single, precise sentence. Crisp perimeter with a tiny under bevel. Soften the very front microscopically, no helmet edge. That line gives your stylist the architecture and the finesse. Daily finishing is fast. 5 minutes with a flat brush and directed airflow down the hair shaft for shine, then a final pass at the perimeter only. If you like a whisper of bevel, tuck the brush under for the last 2 or 3 seconds of each section, no longer, or you lose the line. Speaking as a woman in her mid-60s, I kept a shoulder skimming lob for years because long felt feminine. On Zoom, the weight pooled at my clavicles and pulled the mouth downward. I cut to a jaw-skimming blunt bob with a micro-soft front and use a deep side part on days I want extra lift. The very next morning, my neighbor asked if I'd changed skincare. I hadn't, just structure. If your part is widening, would a crisper perimeter let you rely less on root volume? Would you choose lip to chin for sharper energy or jaw to collarbone for softness? Keep trims every 6 to 8 weeks. Once the ends drift more than an inch past your sweet spot, the cut reads heavy instead of polished. And if you love this clarity but want more movement at the crown and temples, the next look softens the geometry with diffused layers and a face-brightening fringe. Secret number 5. Soft shag with curtain bangs, lively, light, grown-up. A soft shag earns its place in a 60-plus wardrobe because it puts lift exactly where mature hair needs it, crown and temples, while keeping the ends featherlight so your silhouette never balloons at the bottom. Female pattern thinning typically shows up as a wider part through the crown and recession at the temples. A diffused, airy layer map and a whisper-light curtain fringe camouflage those zones and pull the viewer's focus back to your eyes. When clients tell me they're shedding more than usual, I remind them that losing roughly 5,100 hairs a day is considered normal. What matters is whether the part keeps spreading or the hairline keeps creeping back, which are pattern clues, not just shed. By midlife, many women also feel they have less hair, even without dramatic bare patches. Research shows perceived hair amount drops in the mid-40s and again in the 50s, which is why a cut that redistributes weight and light is so psychologically uplifting. And you're not imagining the prevalence. Dermatologist data suggest female pattern hair loss affects roughly 40% of women by age 50. Execution matters. Ask your stylist for diffused crown layering, not stacked tiers, and a blended curtain bang that parts softly at center, just grazing the top of the cheekbone before melting into the sides. This keeps the fringe weightless and forgiving as it grows, and it lets silver or sultan pepper strands catch light like satin instead of forming a heavy visor. Keep the perimeter soft and non-stacked so air can move through the outline. That's the difference between effortless and helmet. At home, apply a small root mousse at the crown and a pea of flexible cream through the mid-lengths and ends. Diffuse on low heat and speed until about 80% dry, then stop. Pinch the curtain fringe once and release so it falls in that flattering S-curve without stiffness. On day 2, I revive the crown with a small mist of water or a touch of dry shampoo and a 30-second low-heat pass. From my own mirror at 63, an overhead light on zoom made my part look like a runway and the temples a little bare. The week I switched to a soft shag with cheek-kissing curtains, my glasses and cheekbones became the story again. I still love air-dry days, but I can polish in under 4 minutes when I want a little extra lift. The best compliment I get is not "nice haircut," it's "you look awake." I want you in the driver's seat. Stand in indirect daylight and try this 2-minute demo. Clip the back and sides snug to fake a light shag, then bend the front pieces toward your cheekbones to mimic a curtain fringe. Step back. Do your eyes pop? Does the part look less obvious? If yes, you're a prime candidate. Tell me in the comments, do you see widening mostly under overhead lighting or all day? Would you wear your curtains ice kimming for drama or cheek kissing for softness? And what's your daily styling tolerance in minutes? If you love the airy crown of a shag but crave even more lift at the nape and the confidence of a tidy neckline, our next move is secret number 6. The Bixie, a bob Pixie hybrid that keeps the softness up front while quietly sharpening your profile. Secret number 6. The Bixie bob Pixie hybrid, lifted back, soft front. A well-cut Bixie solves 2 issues that show up for many of us after 60: downward weight at the jaw and vanishing lift at the crown. Female pattern thinning often starts as a widening part and diffused loss at the crown in our 40s, 60s, so long, heavy lengths can pull the eye lower and exaggerate softening along the jawline. A tapered nape removes that drag, slightly longer. Face-framing pieces redirect light to the eyes for a naturally eye-up read. Here's how to dial it in. Keep the nape clean and tapered so the silhouette looks light from the side. Leave the top long enough to sweep. This is what keeps the cut feminine rather than severe. Set the front somewhere between lip and mid-shin, then shift the part a half-inch off-center for instant, built-in lift. If your hair is fine, ask for internal texture at the crown, point cutting that you don't see, but definitely feel. If it's wavy, keep a touch more length up top so the wave reads fluid instead of puffy. Plan trims every 6-8 weeks to keep the nape tidy and the front elegant. For context, normal daily shedding is about 50-100 hairs, and most of us have around 100,000 follicles, so a brushful isn't automatically a crisis. Stress-related shedding, telogen effluvium, can temporarily increase fallout a few months after a life event. The hair cycle often normalizes once the trigger resolves. If you suspect this, ask your dermatologist to rule out medical causes while you keep styling light and flexible. Silver looks beautiful in a Bixie because the cut's airy layering lets gray strands scatter light instead of clumping into a dull mass. Biologically, follicles produce less pigment with age, so fresh growth emerges gray more often over time. From my own chair, at 62 I'd clung to a safe shoulder length because short felt harsh. We shaped a Bixie with a tidy nape, top long enough to sweep across my frames, and front pieces grazing mid-cheek. Friends didn't ask if I cut my hair, they asked if I'd change something around my eyes. On Zoom, my neck looked longer, blazers sat cleaner, and I needed less makeup to look awake. I still shed about a brushful on wash days, which is normal for most adults. The difference was placement and proportion. At home, test it before you cut. The hybrid flip. In even light, loosely clip the back and lower sides to fake it short. Leave the front out, bend those pieces toward your cheekbones, and take 2 photos, center part and off-center. Which image makes your eyes brighter and your jawline cleaner? That's your answer. If you go for it, your one-line salon request is simple. Bixie with tapered nape, long top to sweep, internal texture at the crown, micro-feather the front, no chunky steps. One last note on why the Bixie often outperforms a traditional one-length bob post-menopause. Hair fibers can grow more slowly and feel finer at the frontal scalp, so a lighter back with strategic crown texture creates lift without overstyling. Before we map accessories and necklines to this shape, tell me, do you wear glasses, cat eye, round, or rectangular? Which collar lines do you reach for most? Open shirts, boat necks, or scarves? And when you flip your part a half-inch, do your photos look fresher? Here's where we land. 6 silhouettes, 6 energies, a soft layered bob for quiet lift, a textured pixie for liberation, shoulder length with blended face framing for balanced grace, a modern blunt bob for structure and clarity, a soft shag with curtain fringe for lively light, and the Bixie for lift with softness. Every choice works best when cut hair color move in lockstep so light, movement, and proportion serve the face you have today. Before you book, audit the habits that add years and fix them in one pass. If you've kept the same haircut for decades, set a reminder to reassess every 18-24 months. If you love length but lack architecture, add internal layers and seamless framing so hair stops dragging your features down. If your hair is fine, a single, one-length perimeter will collapse. Ask for invisible debulking and micro layers you can feel, not see. Don't ignore the hairline and crown. A soft fringe at the temples and a gentle crown lift disguise the zones that thin first. Retire helmet hair in favor of flexible, brushable holds that move when you do. And make color support the cut. A clear gloss for sheen, subtle lowlights for crown depth, soft face lights for brightness, or a silver glaze if you're embracing gray. Keep results with minimal effort. Wash 2 to 3 times a week, co-cleanse or rinse on off days, and condition mid-lengths to ends every wash. Deep treat every 10 to 14 days. Bring in a monthly protein mask only if hair feels overly soft. Sleep on silk or satin. If you wear a Pixie or Bixie, a microfiber wrap preserves crown lift. Cap heat tools at 300–320 degrees F and always use protectant. Treat it like sunscreen for your cut. Now, give yourself 2 weeks to make a confident change. Days 1 through 3. Do the 3 no scissors try-ons and photograph them in the same light. Days 4 through 7. Choose your energy and book a consultation, not a cut, so you and your stylist can align on shape, upkeep, and lifestyle. Days 8 through 14. Bring 2 reference photos, one for shape, one for length, and a 1-line salon script, then lock a 2-appointment plan. Shine and soften now, refine and brighten later. If you found even one useful insight, subscribe to Golden After 60 and tell me in the comments which silhouette you'll trial first. Bob, Pixie, shoulder with framing, blunt bob, soft shag, or Bixie. I'll reply with a personalized salon script for your face shape so you walk into the chair with clarity. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. I'm glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next video.